a lot of you here don't know too much about Noel Thornberry, who is going to guide David to the world title. So allow me to give you a little bit of a history lesson. His family goes back many, many years in boxing. His brothers fought for 3 world titles, including fighting Joe Calzaghe, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time. Noel was the brains and the trainer behind Marcelino Marsowi winning his world title in 2004. But more familiar and where we got involved with Noel is that there was a guy called Denis Boytsov who in 2013 became the mandatory world challenger to Vladimir Klitschko. He took a warm-up fight to fight Klitschko, and he took on a guy called Alex Leapai, who Noel trained. And Alex Leapai was a truck driver from Queensland, and he won an undisputed decision and took that mandatory challenge away from Boytsov, and Alex Leapai challenged Vladimir Klitschko for the heavyweight world title in Germany in 2014. That was the first time all of us worked together. It was in Germany for that world title fight. We watched how Vladimir Klitschko trained, we watched his mind games, we watched so much of what the Klitschkos did, and we took it and helped it with Joseph. But more importantly, Noel has been with Duco for 10 years, and he has got a wealth of experience, and he's got a stable of trainers, and he's been training with David Nyika for 2 years. He is the real deal. He's an Australian who wants a Kiwi to win. Noel, could you talk to us about the cruiserweight division, where it is at the moment, and what the road to the title looks like for you?
Okay, thanks very much, Craig. First of all, it's great to be here in New Zealand. It's great to be working with Duco Events, Joseph Parker, and I won't even attempt to thank all the sponsors, just way too many, and I'm not as familiar as what David is. But look, when I watched the Olympic Games just a couple of years ago, I seen 2 guys from this part of the world. So when you're abroad or whatever, you see Australians and you see New Zealanders, and you think to yourself, okay, which one of these guys is the exceptional one? Well, I seen David Nyika, and there was a young fellow from Australia as well. Paula Kuso was very good, but David sort of stood head and shoulders above everybody else, in my opinion, to what I've seen. And so as it came about, I was approached by David Higgins at a later date to possibly work with David Nyika, leading into the Haney versus Kambosos boxing event, which is the 2nd biggest boxing event in the history of Australian boxing as well. I think it was 42,000. Duco Events was also part of that, and Duco Events was pretty much the guys that established the fact that bout would be staged in Australia. So David came along, and we then had the opportunity to fight a month later on the Gold Coast when the current world champion Jai Opetaia challenged Maurice Briedis for the world championship. Well, David fought a guy named Louis Masters on that card, and then he said, you know what, I might stay on. I think, what do you think? And I said, mate, I'd love that. I said, because like, not only is he one of the most talented boxers that I've seen, probably the most talented boxer that I've ever had the pleasure of working with, but he's also one of the hardest workers, and the talent without the hard work just isn't going to work. So, but he's got both, and he's great to work with, and very proud to be sitting here today and saying that we sort of see that that David can emulate what Joseph Parker's done previous to him and bring another world championship here to New Zealand, and then who knows what might happen after that if we get the opportunity to move up to the heavyweight division. But we'll just first things first, and September 14th is a extremely important day in all of our careers as promoters, trainers, managers, boxers. So I'd just like to thank everybody for coming along and supporting us, and we hope to bring the World Championship back to New Zealand.
Noel, could you talk to me about the cruiserweight division, educate us on what it looks like at the moment? Clearly, I mentioned before, Alexander Usyk, David Haye, Evander Holyfield all started there. In the case of Holyfield and Usyk, they cleared out the division before going to the heavyweight. That's a long way off at this stage, but who's the world champion? Where do you see this career going for David?
The top cruiserweight in the world of the champions is Chris Smith, who Dave knows well, and Jai Opateo. The two that sort of stand out to me at this stage is Gilberto Ramirez from Mexico, who's got the WBA championship. But look, I see David beating all of those guys right now. However, you would be rushing. He's every bit as good as any one of those guys. The only thing between David and these guys is the rounds. I want to hear David hear the bell for round 7, round 8, round 9, round 10, round 11. And once David's done that, I think he can beat every person that I just mentioned. I will acknowledge that the best of all the champions at this point in time is Jai Opateo, and that sets the clash. That sets the stage for a massive trans-Tasman clash between an Aussie and a Kiwi for the number one, the number one position in the cruiserweight division worldwide. Jai's talking about maybe even moving up to heavyweight, whether he does or he doesn't. Who knows what happens, but I think sometime in the next 12, 18 months, maybe even 24 months, we'll see David in the ring with one of the 4 people that I've just mentioned.
All the belts over there are the belts that Joseph has won with Duco. And when we started Joseph's career, the idea was that we'd win a regional belt and keep on winning regional belts until we got to that one right in the middle, which is the world heavyweight title that he won against Andy Ruiz. So I'm sure I'm not speaking out of turn in saying that will be the goal again, to win the regional belts, to get to a position to win the world title. Noel, could you talk about David's temperament? Because clearly we're going to put his profile on fire rockets now. And he's going to be more seen than ever before. He's going to become a household, if he's not a household name with the boxing fan, the casual fan is going to know who he is very, very quickly. And his temperament today, he calls himself the nice guy, but the temperament behind closed doors is where it's going to get him to the world title. Tell me about temperament and the fighters that you've seen previously and what he's got that others don't.
Well, when I first met David, and I knew that his nickname was the nice guy and so forth, so I picked David up down at the airport. He'd come back. Actually, there's a little bit more of a story there. I rang David Higgins, and I knew David Nyika was coming over to train with us for a fight down in Melbourne. And I rang David Higgins on I think it might have been a Tuesday night, and I said, "When's David Nyika getting here? We've only got about 5 weeks before this fight." And he goes, "Oh, sorry, Noel, he's on the plane at the moment. He'll be there tomorrow morning." So I said, "Oh, right, okay." So I've gone down to the airport. I picked David up, and we drove back into Gatton town. And Gatton's it's a small country town. It's an agricultural town. And so we're driving in, and Dave said, "Gee, yeah, wow, I like this. This is beautiful. What a nice town." And I thought, I think this guy's only told me what I want to hear. It's a nice little town. And so anyway, then it was a little bit like what David just said before about Joseph. I sort of was sitting there trying to think, okay, he can't be this nice all the time. 2 years down the track, sure enough, he's like that all day, every day. And he's just got that nice temperament. He's always happy. He's always got a smile on his face. And he's very polite to people. We're driving down the road one day in Gatton, and there was these couple of guys standing on the side of the road, and there was a guy mowing the lawn for him, and they're all watching him mow the lawn. And Jan, my wife, said, "That's David." And I said, "No, it's not David. He's right up the road. He lives up the road." No, she goes, no, that's him. So anyway, he's seen these guys struggling to mow their lawn, so he's pulled up and said, "Wait there, guys," and he's dripping his ride-on mower all the way back down the road and mowed their lawn for them. So, so the nice guy's very apt. But anyway, and like obviously I thought, how's that going to translate into the ring? So, but when he's in the ring, he's a competitor. His competitive nature takes over 100%, and he's got that mongrel in him that he needs to have, and you actually do need to have it. And I'd say even when he fought Lou Masters, and Lou Masters ran out and tried to surprise Dave early on, and David said, "Yeah, okay, I'm going to fix this guy." But anyway, when he did, he finished the guy, and he finished him really, really well. Probably got a little bit too excited and gave him one when he's down on one knee, and I thought, okay, he's the nice guy's a bit of a prick. But he's got the right temperament to go all the way to the world cruiserweight champion.